My ex-wife treated our son as a tool for revenge, and I could only watch helplessly. Today, I opened the bedroom door and saw her lying in our bed with a stranger. In the next room, little Jack was taking his afternoon nap, completely unaware. Just 2 weeks ago, I had excitedly handed her the tickets for a trip to 7 countries to celebrate our 5th anniversary. I remember the slight smile in her eyes when she took the tickets, a smile that once made me think there was still hope for us. But now, those tickets lay quietly in that man's wallet, reminding me that I had been completely betrayed. I froze at the doorway, my fingers gripping the doorknob tightly, my heart pounding like a drum. The air felt frozen, and I even questioned my own eyes. When Lisa saw me, there was no panic, only a trace of a provocative smirk. "Tom," she whispered, with a barely perceptible unease, "you shouldn't have come in." I took a deep breath, my voice trembling but trying to remain calm. "Lisa, what are you doing?" "Stop making a scene, Tom," she laughed lightly, her voice dripping with disdain. "This is my business." I said nothing, slowly retreating to the doorway, my chest heavy as if a boulder were pressing down on it, struggling to breathe. That night, I drove north along the highway, the city lights slipping through my fingers like flowing sand, my mind filled only with Jack's smile and that little boat. The next morning, I returned to an empty home. The kitchen held only unwashed dishes, and Jack's building blocks were scattered across the living room carpet. On the table lay the divorce papers, no farewell, no explanation. I tried to call Lisa, only to discover I had been completely blocked. Every call felt like a stone sinking into the ocean. At night, I sat on the living room floor, staring at Jack's favorite toy car. Tears slid down silently. The home I once knew felt alien, every object in the room seemed to mock me, our life together, torn apart. 2 months after the divorce, I finally saw Jack again. He sat on the sofa, clutching a block, his gaze empty, lacking the enthusiastic smile that once ran into my arms. "Daddy," his voice was soft, like wind brushing past the curtains. I crouched down, trying to smile. "Jack, shall we build a ninja tower?" He glanced at me briefly, then looked down again. My chest tightened, as if bound by iron chains, each attempt to get close met with an invisible wall. When I dropped him off at Lisa's, I couldn't help but confront her. "Lisa, what are you teaching him? Why can't he even look at me?" She leaned against the doorframe, smirking coldly. "I'm just protecting him from the harm you might cause." "Protect him? Making him fear his dad is protection?" I nearly shouted. She leaned slightly closer, whispering a threat. "If you keep interfering, you'll never see him again." The court ruled Lisa had primary custody, and I could only have supervised visitation. Each meeting felt like torture. Jack sat rigidly on the sofa, and my attempts to make him laugh were met with mechanical responses. Lisa began implying on social media that I was dangerous, even manipulating Jack's kindergarten teachers against me. Every attempt to communicate was rejected. I began to understand this was not just a divorce, it was a battle of psychology and emotion. At night, I sat in Jack's empty bedroom, staring at the toy car that had fallen as he slept. Tears flowed repeatedly as I silently vowed, no matter the cost, I would get him back. I started studying legal statutes, understanding parental alienation and emergency visitation procedures. Each page felt like a bridge toward hope. The judge eventually approved a single unsupervised visitation, our last chance. I held the paperwork tightly, my heart racing. This was the only bridge between Jack and me, and it had to succeed. Every day, I repeated the same routine: drop him off at kindergarten, wait for visitation notices, pace at home, organize files, and study legal texts. The ticking clock on the wall reminded me of lost time. Late at night, I opened the window and let the city's neon lights fill the room. Occasionally, laughter from other children pierced the silence, stabbing at my heart. It should have been our laughter, but now there was only emptiness and waiting. I began documenting everything: Lisa's social media activity, Jack's reactions during visits, every call, every encounter. I even placed a notebook in the corner of the bedroom, recording every subtle expression and silence. This was the only thing I could control, the only link I had with my son. Jack's blank gaze expanded in my memory. Every thought of his once bright eyes now cold tore my chest apart. I told myself, wait, endure, the opportunity will come. Supervised visitations were a slow torture. Every time I entered the designated location, Jack sat like a wary animal, fingers clutching his backpack strap, eyes alert yet empty. I tried jokes, faces, making him laugh, every smile seemed filtered, leaving only a faint trace. "Tom, don't get too close," the supervisor whispered, eyes sharp. I clenched my teeth, nodding, each breath heavy. Lisa's strategy was nearly flawless. She would post subtle hints on social media, causing teachers, neighbors, even Jack's friends' parents to perceive me as a potential threat. Any kind gesture could be twisted into manipulating the child. One visit, I brought Jack's favorite dinosaur blocks. He sat cautiously, eyes fixed on the box in my hand. I crouched, speaking softly, "Jack, today let's build a dinosaur castle, okay?" He nodded slowly but turned away. The blocks were clenched in his hands, as if guarding himself from harm. I understood, Jack had been taught to see me as a threat, each approach carried risk. Returning to my empty apartment at night, I recorded every detail in my notebook, the pauses, the hesitations, the responses, as if communicating with Jack. I also hired a private investigator to collect evidence of Lisa's manipulative behavior, her interference with teachers, falsifying social information, and social media activities. Each record became crucial to rebuilding my relationship with Jack. Day after day, I walked in the dark, enduring the pain of losing my child while collecting evidence to protect him. The law allowed supervised visits, but each encounter felt like a battlefield. Once, I took Jack to the park. Sunlight spilled over the grass, he still clutched his dinosaur plush toy. I crouched, gently saying, "Jack, remember Super Dad? Today, Super Dad is here to protect you." He glanced at me, a familiar light flickering in his eyes before quickly dimming again. I pulled out paper and crayons. "Let's draw our city. You draw yours, I'll draw mine." He hesitated a moment, then reached for a crayon. Hours passed, he began to speak. "Daddy. Mom said you'd be mad." I nodded slightly. "Yes, I was angry, but that's not your fault." He lowered his head, whispering, "She said you didn't love me." I crouched and gently held his hand. "Jack, Daddy will always love you. No matter what, I'm here." In that moment, I sensed the suppressed desire in his heart. His defenses weren't impenetrable, just trained to doubt and fear. As the investigator provided more evidence, I filed an emergency petition for unsupervised visitation. The judge approved but warned, "This is the last chance. Failure to build trust will affect future rulings." I inhaled deeply, knowing this visit would determine our future. On the visitation day, I brought Jack's favorite dinosaur toys and blocks, mentally rehearsing every action. As he entered, a flicker of recognition crossed his eyes before caution returned. I crouched, whispering, "Jack, today, Super Dad is only yours." He nodded slightly, turning away. I clenched my fists, telling myself, "Patience, slowly." That day, we built blocks, told stories, and made puppets act silly. He occasionally peeked at me, every glance a test. When I reached a funny part, he laughed lightly, brief but enough to know he still desired my love. At the end, he lightly held my hand, then let go, as if afraid of being caught. Watching his back, a wave of complex emotions hit me, relief, yet heartache. Lisa had stolen more than custody, she had tried to control his mind. I had to be careful, not rash. At 3 a.m., I sat at the desk with legal documents, court records, and my notebook open. The city light still shone outside, but I barely noticed. I knew that to truly reconnect with Jack, I had to understand Lisa's strategy. Every fear, every resistance was manipulation. The detective's message buzzed, "You need evidence. She's manipulating school, community, and social networks." Videos, photos, documents are being collected. I exhaled. This was not just a legal battle, it was a war of information and psychology. Over the following weeks, I followed the strategy. Secretly collect evidence of Lisa's manipulation at school, social media, and community. Record each visitation, noting Jack's expressions, words, and emotional responses. Remain calm and controlled to avoid giving the court any reason to doubt me. Finally, court day arrived. Lisa looked imposing, her eyes full of provocation. "Tom, have you manipulated the child during visits?" the judge asked sharply. I replied calmly, "No, Your Honor. I have done my best to make him feel safe and respect his wishes." It was Jack's turn to speak. He gripped my hand, hesitant. I crouched and whispered, "Tell the truth, Jack. Daddy always loves you." Jack took a deep breath. "Mom told me to say bad things about Dad, but that's not true. I know Dad loves me." Silence fell. Lisa's face paled, her lawyer searched for flaws but found none. Tears welled up. At that moment, our bond was slowly restoring. The investigators' evidence was submitted, multiple instances of Lisa's interference with teachers, schools, and community records, plus her social media posts, all seen by the judge. The judge declared, "Considering the father's calm, patience, and focus on child welfare, this court approves increased unsupervised visitation and requires joint counseling for both parents." Lisa was shocked, angry, and unable to argue. After court, I walked Jack home. He leaned against my shoulder, whispering, "Daddy, I haven't been this happy in so long." I gripped the wheel, tears in my eyes. "Jack, Daddy is always here." We slowly rebuilt our relationship, like reconstructing ruins. During each visit, I played Super Dad to make him feel safe, respecting his emotions, never forcing interaction. We drew, played ball, told stories, gradually bringing laughter back into life. Lisa tried to obstruct, but the court and evidence limited her actions. Years later, our life was not perfect, but trust was rebuilt. One day in the park, Jack ran across the grass, laughing, "Daddy, I'm faster than you." I chased him, pretending to fall, and he leapt into my arms, laughing. I held him, feeling warmth and reality. That moment was truly ours, untouchable by anyone. With court rulings in place, Jack gradually let go of fear. Each visitation was in a familiar, safe environment. He began telling me about school, initiating conversation. "Daddy, today my classmate helped me tie my shoes," he laughed. I feigned surprise. "Wow, so kind. Want Daddy to help too?" He giggled, "No, Daddy, I'll do it myself." I felt a warmth in my heart. Every small interaction repaired the cracks of the past. Meanwhile, Lisa's manipulative actions were legally documented, reducing interference. Her lawyer admitted her social media claims were no longer effective. Jack's smile returned, and he learned to rely on me again. One day, he fell in the park, scraped his knee, and cried softly. I scooped him up, gently cleaning the wound. "It's okay, Jack. Daddy's here, you won't get hurt." He looked up, tears in his eyes, and smiled, "Daddy, I know you've always been here." In that moment, I realized the 2 years of hardship, court battles, patience, and documentation had led to this rebirth. Our life gradually stabilized. Every morning we had breakfast together, after school we drew or played ball, weekends were for Super Dad games, park trips, or kite flying. I became not just a father, but Jack's most reliable friend. Jack began to gain confidence at school, joining group activities, sharing toys, his gaze no longer avoiding me but filled with trust. Years later, he ran on the grass, laughing, "Daddy, you can't catch me." I chased him, pretending to fall. He laughed and jumped into my arms. I held him, feeling the long-lost warmth and reality. I understood, this long, painful struggle ultimately safeguarded the most important thing, our real, irreplaceable parent-child bond. Lisa may have won part of the legal battle, but she could not take away the trust and love between Jack and me. At night, I sit at my desk, flipping through Jack's sketchbook. Every page, a dinosaur, castle, boat, records our journey of rebuilding. I whisper softly, Jack, Daddy will always be here. No matter what happened, we can start over. Outside, the city glows. Inside, warmth and peace prevail. 2 years of pain, fear, and waiting coalesce into deep gratitude and fulfillment. I hold Jack, watching him sleep, feeling unprecedented security and comfort. The future is unknown, but whatever comes, we will face it together. This long battle was brutal, but in the end, we won the most important thing, the irreplaceable love and trust between parent and child. We endured destruction and reconstruction. The scars remain, but every laugh, every hug, is the best response to the past.